talking about. We lined up a doozy for you. Let's head down to the feature match area and see what we got. Hello and welcome to this round 8 here at GP Utrecht. And on the left of our screen, that's Nicolas Laban. He's a player that, before I even knew what he was playing, I was like, he always brings interesting decks to these sorts of things. And he's got the Paradox Engine Storm deck that a number of German players have been working on. This is our kind of full combo Paradox Engine deck. And he's up against 4-color Saheeli. So let it not be said that at the top tables there's not still innovation going on. Honestly, this Paradox Engine Storm deck is one of my favorite decks to watch go off in the room. Whether or not I'll feel that way once I've seen it played for 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know. But right now, the honeymoon period's still very much up and running. Ether Hub on turn 1 from Laban, and just looks on as there's a turn 1 Attune with Ether from Alexei Shashov, meaning that he's able to make sure that he hits his land drops just fine.
Solid pronunciation there. I like it. Yeah, and Alexei is running the new age 4-color Saheeli deck that you'll see in action soon enough, is that they run a lot of Chandras, Torture of Defiance in the main deck, especially running it out on turn 3 against a lot of decks, especially black-green and the control decks. It's just so powerful, and we're going to see it here. And if it brings enough cards for Alexei, this game could be over relatively soon enough. The good thing about Chandra is not only that it can enter the battlefield and kill a creature immediately, also it is really good against some of the sideboard cards. You know, players board in Authority of the Consuls against you, or Implement of Combustion, and then you just play Chandra, plus it a couple of times, ultimate it, and then you just kill him. Because the emblem gives you, every time you play a spell, you do 5 damage somewhere.
Well, I just want to catch people up a little bit on what's going on Laban's side of the board. He's already got a Renegade Map, a Key to the City, and a Magnifying Glass. Now, all of these cards individually look relatively underwhelming.
A good draft deck.
But each of them really takes on a new face once you get the key card of the deck in play, that being Paradox Engine. It costs 5 to cast, and it means that whenever you play a spell, you get to untap all of your non-land permanents. Now, when you untap Key to the City, if you've got 2 mana lying around, you can draw a card for 2 mana.
Whenever you untap it, so with
Yes.
Paradox Engine untapping all your stuff, that can happen fairly often.
With Magnifying Glass, firstly, it's an artifact that taps for mana. Fantastic. It can also create clues, which give you another way of spending lots of mana. Now, no spoilers, Paradox Engine deck does have a lot of ways of generating mana to not involve tapping lands. Whether or not we'll see too many of them this game, I'm not sure, because as it happens, Alexei Shashov here is able to ramp out a fair amount himself. He's already got Chandra online. He's already got that Rogue in play also. He's gaining energy. He's gaining cards in hand. Everything's working for both of these players. We're going to see an explosive turn soon enough.
Yeah, we'll see what Nicolas Laban here, because he really wants to play either the Paradox Engine or like something like a Hedron Archive. But I think he's going to start off with the Paradox Engine already. So he can't really do that much just yet. Alexei knows exactly what the card does, but yeah, I think Nicolas just needs still a little bit of something to just go off. Speaking of going off, Alexei finds an Oath of Nissa, finds Saheeli.
Saheeli now, of course, while he does have the mana to cast it on the natural, he could tap any mana he wants to cast Saheeli now. As long as there's 3 of it, it will all work out.
Yeah, and he's
Chandra already up to 7 loyalty.
Now thinking, do I want to attune with Ether? He's like, nah, take 2.
So Magnifying Glass alongside Paradox Engine and Key to the City. Just need more mana producers for Nicolas Laban, and then he gets to do crazy things. Yeah, will there be time?
That's the thing. I think Nicolas Laban might be out of time here soon enough, because he's taken 3 from the Refiners, already took a bunch of damage from the Chandra, and I think we're not going to see Saheeli ping for 1 more, and Alexei is basically threatened to go off on his turn. And while he also keeps adding to the board another Servant of the Conduit, so between his board, I think Alexei has enough to win the game just by attacking. So Nicolas Laban, you better show us something good here. Well, that's a good card.
He does have Hedron Archive, which is a really big start to this, because it then is an artifact that taps for lots of mana on untaps, and a Renegade map will untap everything for 1 mana. We could see a lot of cards played this turn by Nicholas Laban.
I think he has quite a few reverse engineers in his hand. Yes, so that's 3. -1. He's going to play the Renegade map. It looks like he has Renegade map and 3 reverse engineers. Which might be a problem. He doesn't have Prophetic Prison to color his mana any way he likes.
Yeah, difficult spot here for Laban.
Because he knows he's very likely just dead, so he's going to try to reverse engineer first. Or no? Oh no, he's
discarding the reverse engineer to Key to the City. You don't actually need to target a creature with it. It's up to 1 creature.
Okay.
Draws himself another Hedron Archive by untapping the Key to the City.
Yeah, that's like it's what he kind of wants, but also doesn't, because it just gives him more mana, but it's only going to be colorless.
Now, at some point, there may be a point where he starts being able to sacrifice clues. And that's where things get kind of interesting.
Okay.
Again, having to discard that. So he does get down the second Hedron Archive. Now he's producing 5 mana every time he casts a spell. We're starting to get somewhere.
Okay.
He draws a card with Key to the City.
Spire of Industry it is.
I mean, this is definitely going off the hard way, but you begin to get a sense of what going off looks like for this deck. If there'd been a Prophetic Prism at some point earlier on, then there would have been a couple of reverse engineers played potentially.
Yeah.
And at that point, this deck goes utterly loopy. So, sacrificing Renegade map, fetching an island.
Yep, he didn't play land yet. Both players now on 5. Alright, so.
Make 2 mana.
Okay, he's going to start sacking with the Hedron Archive because he needs something cheap. Okay, he can play Walking Ballista to untap some stuff, but I don't think it's going to get him anywhere.
Yeah, Walking Ballista can be cast for 0. It can also be cast for 38. There's everything in between, 40 if you need. One of the cards that's a big deal in this deck is Metalwork Colossus, because once you have Paradox Engine in play, that alone reduces its cost by 5. If you've got things going, it's a 0-cost artifact that untaps things, and you can potentially set up the ability to go infinite with it.
Yeah, he plays a Walking Ballista for 0 just so that he can untap his permanent, but I think he just drew another Glenness Crane, and yeah, that's not enough.
Okay, well, it's worked out that Alexei Shashov, with his relatively straightforward approach, at least comparatively speaking, is able to pick up game 1 there as Laban draws a bunch of extra cards, makes a lot of mana, but isn't able to quite close things out. When this deck goes off, though, oh my goodness, it's potent.
He just fizzled. If that Magnifying Glass had been a Cultivator's Caravan, he would have been basically on the... He wouldn't have been doing much better because he could have played those Glenness Cranes, keep finding artifacts to keep untapping your stuff. Yeah, which is very unfortunate, the draw. Even the Prophetic Prism, I think, would have changed a lot there. So, unfortunately for Nicholas. He was also facing a pretty fast clock from the Saheeli deck, which is not always the case. But that's what a turn 3 Chandra and turn 5 just creatures. Just that's what happens sometimes.
Now, it's worth noting there's been talk about what the kill condition is for this deck. Is it, say, Aetherflux Reservoir? No. This deck doesn't actually need to have the kind of redundant artifact that's just gaining you life until the point that you can kill someone. What this deck does is it can actually just produce an absurd amount of mana once it gets going, and it can loop with Metalwork Colossus and Magnifying Glass to get back more Metalwork Colossus, such that it can produce, if it needs to, as much mana as it wants, and at that point you can kill people with Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista also, sometimes you can play with X as 0, so that it's simply a way of untapping your cards. This way round, it just ends up being Paradox Engine lets you go off, and then once you're going off, you don't have the redundant-ish draw of Aetherflux Reservoir.
Yeah, I like it. And just Walking Ballista, you can play it, a bit sooner. You can also play it for 0 to untap your stuff. It's just much more versatile. And I like it. And having a 1919 Walking Ballista or 2020 Walking Ballista is pretty awesome.
Currently, 1919 is the largest we saw. That was in round 2 for Dominic Gertzen. Definitely worth jumping back and checking out that game. There was a very exciting game to watch. But we're going to get a chance to watch a little bit more Magic from one of our other tables while these players just finish their sideboarding. We will jump back and catch all of this. We just don't want to bring you lots of shuffling if we don't need to. And Jeremy Desani and Fabrizio Campanino just starting off their second game. Dynavolt Tower on the left in the hands of Desani, up against Mardu Ballista on the right-hand side for Fabrizio Campanino. So this is a 7-0 Mardu list that it's not just about the vehicles, it's got a few other tricks up its sleeve.
Yeah, exactly. Just like we saw the previous round, some walking ballistas, maybe some planeswalkers. But honestly, on the other side of the board, former Player of the Year Jeremy Desani, 4-color Dynavolt Tower, 4-color, and Lumbering falls into Inspiring Vantage. Seriously?
By my reckoning, we have seen a red-blue Dynavolt Tower deck.
Yes.
A red-blue-green Dynavolt Tower deck.
Correct.
A red-blue-green-white Dynavolt Tower deck. And a 5-color Dynavolt Tower deck in our feature match area today.
With the Aetherworks Marvel as well added on top of that. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
As it turns out, the important bit is just let's have spells. Blue's the best at spells, and Dynavolt Tower, and the rest can kind of sort itself out. Release the Gremlins, they're making a Gremlin. Just 2 points coming in from these couple of engineers, Toolcraft Exemplars. But you know what? Damage on the board, we don't mind too much. We got the first tower off the table.
Yeah, and Jeremy's just setting up nicely for his following turns, has an Attune with Ether, some Fumigates, and I know exactly where this game's heading.
And we're going to head back to our other game because they have finished shuffling up. I do want to get a chance to see whether or not Nicholas Laban can piece together what he's got going. Turn 1 Renegade Map, turn 2 Prophetic Prism. Coloured mana, not as much of an issue this game. Will that be the defining factor in letting him turn it around? We'll see soon enough.
Yeah, turn to Servant of the Conduit, super important for Alexei here, just because it makes you accelerate all your game plans and while fixing your mana. He also, I believe, boarded in some negates that I see. Yeah, he has a total of 3 in his sideboard. And yeah, just he also has one release the Gremlins that he can use to very good effect.
Yeah, mana ramp plus release of Gremlins against Paradox Engine Storm seems like a very big game indeed. Kill off all of the artifacts that you need to. In the meantime, for now, Nicholas Laban just ramping up the artifacts that he has in play, not producing any mana producers though.
Yeah. And we might see a Sahili, like a naked Sahili here. Oh no, just a roll of Virtuoso.
We say just. We've seen some big work from Will of Virtuoso in this tournament thus far. Gets stuck in for 2 there, Alexei Shashov. He's got the potential to make 1 Thopter thus far. The Paradox Engine Storm deck, I think that it's possibly a tiny bit slow, but we're talking maybe half a turn slow on the format to be terrifying.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of fun to watch though. Renegade Map fetching another basic island.
Yeah, Nicholas Laban actually has not much going on because his hand is double Paradox Engine. You can see just a couple of lands. Doesn't really do that much. I think he's going to clear the board with the Radiant Flames here for 3.
Seems smart. This is a nice clean way of just buying himself additional turns.
Yep.
He'll know that after sideboarding against this kind of deck, he is going to have to worry about counter magic, about artifact removal. So it doesn't surprise me that he's playing things a little slower.
There's a Game Trail.
And another copy of Will of Virtuoso, up to 8 energy now.
Yeah, and Nicholas Laban isn't doing anything crazy for now. So I mean, even if he plays the Paradox Engine here, it might look scary at first. Or like, oh, he might be going off. But Alexei is actually in decent shape because he can make 2 Thopters here, start swinging for 4 every turn, and I think he has double negate in his hand. So the most important card to counter for him would be the
Hedron Archive?
The Hedron Archive, yeah.
I mean, that's the single artifact mana source that produces the most mana of anything that's in Nicholas Laban's deck.
And also draws you cards if you're ever about to fizzle. You can always just sack it to try to keep going.
Well, here's Sahili Rai.
Yeah, and Alexei does have a Fellow Dark Guardian in his hand, so he's setting up super nicely for the following turn. Copies the Roll of Virtuoso to keep on the pressure. Doesn't attack with the Virtuoso itself. Okay. I guess. All right, let's see. All right, Laban is going to go upkeep, find a basic.
Loving the look of these original art Black Border basics.
Yeah, they're nice.
Laban's deck, largely mono blue pre-sideboarding, but we've already seen a Radiant Flames from him post-board.
Okay, there's a Cultivator's Caravan. Now let's see if Alexei can find the negate here and thwart Nicholas' plans. I would say this is one of the harder matchups for the Paradox Engine deck, just because you play against a combo deck that's similarly powerful, but it has a much more consistent game plan.
Yeah, this is the deck that if you stop one part of it going off, you may well have stopped all of it.
Yeah.
As opposed to 4-color Saheeli that, yes, we might be seeing a Saheeli combo next turn, but equally in the meantime it can be doing things to sort of positively work towards winning the game.
Yeah, there is a Felidar Guardian in Alexei's hand.
Both these players we will be seeing on day 2, of course. They are both already at 6-1. 6 wins what you need to make day 2. It's where you get up to 7, 8 wins, maybe even 9, that things get very exciting indeed. And there's the Felidar Guardian. That the end of a very, very quick first match. That doesn't mean, of course, we're going to get a chance to see a little bit more of Jeremy Desani and Fabrizio Campanino. Those players still undefeated, so we're going to get a chance to see which one of them is able to keep that streak running. The other matches that we've got in our feature match area, just so you know, Lino Bergold is against Danny De Rooy. They're both undefeated, and Stefan Gunther against Michele Gravina in the feature match area. They've both picked up a single loss thus far.
Cool.
There's Dynavolt Tower from the 4-color Dynavolt Tower deck of Jeremy Desani. He's got the red-white lands, the blue-green lands, all working together in perfect harmony. Meanwhile, Heart of Kiran and Thraben Inspector in play on Fabrizio Campanino's side with his Mardu Vehicles deck, but we've called it Mardu Ballista because it's got a few slightly unusual choices in there.
Yeah, and release the Gremlins on the Heart of Kiran.
He makes a Gremlin, he gets some energy, he's got it all working. 5 energy enough that he's got a Lightning Bolt stored up in the tower already.
He's got to release the Gremlins of his own.
These Gremlins, it turns out they're hiding everywhere. All it takes is someone to release them.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in action at the PT, doing major work in the feature match area, in limited and constructed alike, and just Gremlins.
I like to believe that every artifact has a Gremlin somewhere in the middle of it, and that's why Release the Gremlins work. Literally, if you live on Kaladesh, they're in there. It's just a matter of whether or not they're getting out.
Oh no, I'm just imagining someone walking by with a bag full of Gremlins and being like, "Yeah, I want to get rid of that. Release the Gremlins." All right, so now we're going to get a Gremlin standoff.
Staring each other down.
They should do a standoff. That would be funny. Gremlins dancing are cute.
A dance-off.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Whirler Virtuoso. That's 8 energy now for Jeremy Desani. Another way of spending energy for him. He's already got effectively 2 Thopters available, plus a couple of energy spare. And Jeremy Desani's Gremlin does not blink, it just gets stuck in there.
Yeah. With this life total change, we'll also figure out if they're the correct way around. It's not always clear. It seems that way. Jeremy, the one with the beat down so far. I think I saw like a Torrential Gearhog in a graveyard and a Fumigate, so that would explain Jeremy's high life total.
Desani here, figuring out what he wants to do with his energy. A Thopter here and there couldn't hurt, right? Unless there's a Gremlin in it.
How can you have a Gremlin inside a Thopter?
I can think.
I call Flavor
I can think of 12 different ways.
Inside a Thopter, those Thopters are tiny. Gremlins are 2/2s. Thopters are 1/1s.
Some Gremlins are little.
Baby Gremlins.
Yeah.
And when they're big enough, then you release them.
Yeah, they just get out.
Okay, you sold me that one. And they probably feed on ether, right?
Oh, they love it. So Thopter's coming in here. Fabrizio Campanino dropping to a very low life total here.
Ooh.
Archangel Avison.
That's unusual.
It looks like we may have an issue with our life totals, actually, given that Desani's life just dropped on that attack. We'll just double check that.
There's also Shambling Vent for Fabrizio. I kind of like the interaction of Archangel Avacyn and Walking Ballista. In a way, like it makes it easier for you to flip the Avacyn as you'd like.
Yeah, Avacyn potentially problematic with all sorts of bits and pieces. Yeah, it looks like we did have our life totals the wrong way around there.
Okay.
I can see how that could work.
Well, I could see it go the other way as well, but it was just much more unlikely. Okay. Something happened. Okay, and that's just it.
The transformation enough that Fabrizio Campanino picking that one up.
Okay.
Mardu defeating Dynavolt Tower in that instance. This has been a quick old round in terms of getting through our matches.
I mean, I like the idea of what Jeremy Zani's up to, because we've seen the Temur Energy Tower control decks. It doesn't seem that big of a stretch to just add another color.
Yeah, I mean, conveniently, Ether Hub just sort of brings all of that together. And if you're starting to use something like Servant of the Conduit as well to fix your mana, then yeah, the world's your oyster. It's just a matter of picking the right spells.
Yeah.
But now we get a chance to see Lino Bergold. It's been a little while since I've seen him in the feature match area.
Former Rookie of the Year.
Absolutely.
Like 10 years ago or something.
He's 7-0 with 4-color Saheeli. And then Jeskai Saheeli on the other side of things for Danny de Rouge. So both of these players working on the Saheeli combo, but with a few different colors of mana. Yeah,
this matchup is actually quite interesting, where it should favor the Jeskai Saheeli deck just because it has counterspells, negates. But sometimes the 4-color Saheeli deck can get aggressive with some of its creatures, especially you guessed it, Verlo Virtuoso doing brunt of the work.
Yeah, the value plan.
Yeah, exactly. Just use all your energy to create Thopters, and the Thopters are really hard to deal with because neither deck really runs that much removal for several creatures. But this matchup is super volatile. It can end on turn 4 as well, if just one player just goes for it.
Now, at the Pro Tour, we didn't really see any of the Saheeli decks shining. They were there, certainly, and there were good players playing them, but ultimately, when you start to shake down the top tables towards the end of day 2, Saheeli wasn't really a factor. What has changed?
I think the problem was that a lot of the Saheeli players did not expect that many Mardu Vehicles decks. It was just 20+% of the field, and the way they were built, just the Mardu decks were much more consistent, were overpowering, Heart of Kirin doing a lot of work, and it's something that the Saheeli decks were underestimated a little bit. But since then, Black-Green has been much more prominent. Mardu has been pushed a little bit on the wayside, and that just meant that there was more room to breathe for decks such as the Saheeli decks to really just do their work, especially when people are doing silly Paradox Engine shenanigans. Let's see what Danny is up to here, being down a game against Lino. These 4-color Saheeli decks can really do like crazy things from the sideboard. I've seen like a big Planeswalker plan or like heavy counter package. And looking at the decks, look at that. Danny brought in his own Virtuosos.
It's a crazy race to see who can get the most Thopters in play.
Yeah.
Shots fired. Servant of the Conduit coming here from Lino Bergold.
I don't think that's going to get... There's nothing that's going to be done about that. Yeah, I think it looks like Lino Bergold is just running a traditional version. He does have the Challenger's in the main deck, but his sideboard plan consists mainly of negates and tireless trackers against the control lists. He also has double Baral's expertise, which is pretty cool.
Danny spending his energy to make a Thopter at the end of turn. That's going to be another attacker for him.
Yeah, don't forget Saheeli pinging.
Creeping up there, and we do see that there is a shock in hand for Lino Bergold, so he's got to be sitting there thinking, well, at least the combo is something that I can do something about.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of the crazier parts about this matchup. As I said, it can end very quickly when one player decides to go for it, or when one player tries to tap down and go for like the value plan, and the other one can just kill him with the combo really fast. You only need 5 lands in play when you start your turn, right?
Yeah, Felidar Guardian comes into play, lets you flicker a non-land, lets you flicker a permanent you control If you flicker your Sahili Rai, she comes back with 3 loyalty, and then you can use her -2 ability to make a copy of the cat. Do it again. At some point, you have an awful lot of cats. However, by using her -2 ability, she's briefly vulnerable to shock.
Precise. There's always a window where Sahili has 1 loyalty. So you can use instants and abilities to do something about that. Yeah, Lino is actually, I think this is what he's scared of. He's a little bit tight on mana, and now he's probably scared that if he taps out for a Rogue Refiner and doesn't find an untapped red source, that he's going to be in trouble against the combo. But I don't, at this point, if he just passes, he'll just slowly die to the beatdowns. Yeah, and look at that. He just didn't find any land at all, just Sahili. He might be forced to discard here. Yeah, he has 8 cards.
Rough spot for Lino Bergold.
And Danny Danny just drew a Felidar Guardian. He's like, yep, so here we go. And that's a game 3.
Yeah, as soon as you see those 2 in play when your opponent's tapped out, that's the game.
Yeah. GG.
Make infinite cats, swing in with them. But that will be going to a game 3.
Yeah. And there's still a match being played there.
Yeah, the one between Stefan Gunther and Michela Gravina. That might be one that we're able to catch on a Time Walk a little bit later on.
Yeah. Rich is probably going to invite a guest to the booth to walk you through that one.
Do let us know if there are particular guests that we've had in the booth that you've enjoyed, and we'll try and feed that back to them.
Yeah. There's a lot of really cool people here. I think a lot of the European pros were really keen on getting a GP after the Pro Tour a couple of weeks back. Wanted to get back into the thick of things. And there's another GP in 2 weeks in Barcelona, as well as New Jersey. And I know a lot of Europeans are going on a tour of the US, because there's New Jersey, there's GP San Antonio, maybe something in Mexico.
Yeah, do a little round trip.
Yeah.
I think I might be making it out to San Antonio myself to play in the team GP.
Oh, you have a team?
I'm working on a team.
Okay.
Applications welcome.
Help a desperate team coverage player. Tim's pretty good. I can vouch for him. He's a pretty good player.
I have my moments.
Okay.
They may have been a while ago, but I've had my moments.
Yeah, but San Antonio is modern, right?
San Antonio is team modern.
Modern, yeah.
It's going to be fun.
But you got to find 2 teammates who want to play modern.
Yeah,
and you have to find a deck.
Too tough.
Yeah, you actually also have to find a deck that doesn't, encroach on each other because of the unified rules. So you have to be careful
there is
about that.
There's a little politicking around that.
I mean, you can just play Merfolk. That basically doesn't take cards from anyone, or just very few cards.
It's something to bear in mind. There's a lot of options. I'll figure it out. I've got a little bit of time.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm already spoiling it. I'm already telling everyone what you're gonna play. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I love me some Merfolk.
I like Merfolk. They're
Merfolk's
perennially underrated.
This is the deck that Andrei Stradsky is constantly pushing on anyone that will
not just him, also Petr Suchurek. And I found out there's basically like, once you become a Merfolk man, you're just locked in for life almost. And I know several players like I forgot the name of the player who was in the finals of the previous GP with Merfolk. Apparently he's been playing nothing but Merfolk for 3 years.
I mean, you don't all foil out a deck just on a whim.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't anyway.
Yeah.
All right, looks like we're going to be ready for our game 3 here, the decider between Lino Bergold and Danny Leroux. So let's see what they've got going on. Jeskai Sahili on the left, 4-color Sahili on the right. Both of them have been able to pick up a game, but this is the one that's going to decide it all, who is going to remain undefeated here in round 8 and potentially going ahead to be undefeated in round 9, which is obviously a very exciting spot to be.
Yeah, I really like Lino's hand. He has the turn 2 Servant of the Conduit into turn 3 Chandra potentially, but he also has double negate if he wants to protect his cards. No, and look at that, like Danny's not hesitating. He's like Harness Lightning that card out of here.
Bolt the Bird Redux.
Yeah, pretty much. And now there's Oath of Nissa, maybe digging for a land here, even though I know he has another land. He's probably going to take a Rogue Refiner here. Potentially, or a Roller Virtuoso if he wants to get aggressive. Yeah, Lino has an Ether Hub, some negates, a shock. This game might be interesting, and I liked how Denny didn't hesitate for a second to kill that servant of the conduit.
Yeah, those are the kind of decisions that you can only really make that fast from experience. Once you get a feel for how much up to go, it's much easier to know where to point removal. Ether Hub to land for turn 3 here. 4-color decks. They need their mana sorting out, and Ether Hub does it better than most.
Yeah, I love Ether Hub.
The upgraded Tendo Ice Bridge.
Yeah. Every time a set comes out, they're like the charts of like cards that are now strictly better.
Oh, there's a few of them that Ether Revolt achieved.
Yeah, exactly.
Fists of the Anvil now has some stiff competition.
Fists of the Anvil. They played that card.
I had a draft deck with 4. It was great.
Right.
Sahili Rai coming down, but immediately hitting a negate from Lino Bergold.
Yeah, and this is a great opportunity for Lino to play a Rogue Refiner without being scared of, dying to the combo on the other side, giving him plenty of energy, and hopefully a land drop for him. Just a Sahili. Again, stuck on mana, just like in the previous game.
4-color versus 3-color Sahili. We mentioned that mana issues might be the defining factor, but I didn't really expect it to be missing land drops.
Okay, roll a Virtuoso. And this card has seen a renaissance. Main deck, sideboards, in plenty of decks. If you're doing energy, this is what it leads to usually. And Lino found land, but it is a game trail.
Yeah, not able to string together something neat. I don't think that it was obvious immediately, but as it turns out, killing off the Servant of the Conduit, absolutely gigantic, because it's just meant that everything that Lino's been doing has been a little bit stilted.
Yeah, pretty much. This is a bit of a risk with the 4-color Sahili deck. Sometimes you flood out really hard, sometimes you just can't get the right colors of mana, or sometimes you just get stuck on lands, even though with Oath of Nissa and in tune with Ether you should be fine. That's the nature of the deck. It's 4 colors, so can always have everything. Now Lino's putting himself in a pretty vulnerable spot because he doesn't have a negate mana up. He still has the shock, if in case he needs it. But having the Servant survive would be really important for his development in following turn, so he could play threats while also being able to protect himself. Implement of Combustion from Danny, so that's a nice way to make sure you don't die to the Sahili combo.
Does just enough damage to kill off Sahili at the right moment, and just sits on the board while doing so.
And even if you don't need it, you'll just draw a card.
Yeah, the Implement, one of those cards that if you're expecting a lot of Sahili, a very solid answer, because it's also not going to get hit by counter magic.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess a Disallow can counter the ability, but realistically that's one of the more expensive pieces of counter magic and not one you see quite so much in the Sahili lists.
Yeah, but I was when I was talking to a couple of the 4-color Sahili players, they were not really worried about these very narrow hate cards, just because the way they set up their deck after sideboard just makes it that much better for them not to rely on just the combo. They can always use Feldar Garden for value with Oath of Nissa, and they have the Chandra. Sometimes they board in the Tireless Trackers. I also see Nahiris. I saw Johnny's. Just a lot of cool stuff. Now look at that. You can sometimes just beatdowns. World of Virtuoso beatdowns, or aided by Rogue Refiner, just like here.
Well, here's an end of turn Glimmer.
Yeah, I'm surprised Lino is not going for the counterspell here. I would. It was super low on cards, and it also generates an energy for other Thopters. Yeah, I think Lino might be regretting it a little bit.
Yeah, end of turn. There is another Thopter coming along as well.
And that's the problem. It makes it, the Thopters make it that much harder to develop Planeswalkers.
And I believe that there's an additional Harness Lightning in hand now for Danny, so he's going to be able to deal with that Servant of the Conduit if he wishes, or just hold on to it for now. There's going to be more threats to deal with, I'm sure. The pump fake on attacks finally commits first blood.
Has in turn plenty of cards in Danny's hand. If I was Lino, I would be worried because now he basically spent a turn doing nothing just yet. He might fire off a Harness Lightning. It's not really doing that much though. Yeah, a little bit of a wasted turn there. There's a Feldar Guardian. You could use it to blink a land. You can also use it to blink the Oath of Nissa, which is one of my favorite interactions.
Yeah, we've seen a big uptick in the amount of play that all of the Oaths have got since Feldar Guardian has become an option.
Yeah, and one of the reasons that the 4-color Saheeli does pretty decent against the black-green decks is the fact that they start running more Oath of Chandras nowadays. Means it's much easier to kill early Ballistas, Whiny Constrictors, Rishkars, and you can also blink it with the Feldar Guardian just for the value, just to keep the board clean. Which is very important because Verger's Gearhulk is one of the most problematic cards to deal with. So you want to keep the board clear as much as possible.
Bergold here. He's been able to get in a reasonable number of hits in spite of everything else that's been going on.
Yeah. But now this is a key turn for him. He has to figure out what he wants to do. Can be pretty scared of the Saheeli combo now because Danny DeRoy with 6 mana up, it's already at risk of doing that. Okay, look at that. Lino Burgo actually leaving up the Spire Bluff Canal to bluff Dispel, which is actually a common card, and Lino has one in his deck. But we know that he has Negate. He's just trying to get some value out of the Oath of Nissa that he wants to play. It looks like he has resolved, so he's going to now dig for a land. Going to be very happy. There's a forest and a mountain, so plenty to choose from.
Yeah, while that implement is in play, basically Feldar Guardian is value cat rather than combo to win the game cat.
Yeah, but it's actually not that big of an issue. It's like you would like to combo off, of course. And here's the Gearhulk.
It's a classy way of getting the end of turn Glimmer of Genius.
And also now Lino's kind of like revealing that he has something to deal with it. But I think this is the reason why he should have glimmered the previous turn. He could have denied either the Gearhulk or a land drop and so on. Now I think Dan is just riding the card advantage train. And it's going to increase his clock significantly.
There was a lot of talk at the Pro Tour or before the Pro Tour as to what the most powerful thing would be. I remember bumping into Kenji Samura, Hall of Famer, and he was sort of saying Saheeli Rai is the best thing to be doing in Standard. Now, for that tournament, it didn't quite work out, but subsequently it looks like there's still plenty to be said for Saheeli in various incarnations.
I can actually picture how the conversation would go because I know what Kenji's like. Saheeli Rai, too good. I love Kenji. He's a great guy. Lots of fun to hang out.
And wears his heart on his sleeve when it comes to Magic. It's so obvious how much he's enjoying himself the whole time that he's playing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Lino with a life total advantage, but
okay,
Danny gradually getting more in play, and he's just asking to check a card reference here, make sure that he understands exactly what he might be messing with on the other side of the table. Each of these players just one game away from 8-0 here at the GP. Harness Lightning on the Feldar Guardian here.
Wants to make sure that he's absolutely safe. But look at Danny's hand. I think he has Negate and Dispel. He already has a pretty good board position, so I don't think he's in danger of dying. He has plenty of mana up. The Implement of Combustion in play as well, so he's not going to die to the combo randomly. And I think Lino will just be a little punished for missing a couple of his land drops early in the game and then just having that turn where he didn't do anything.
I mean, I guess that there's the option for Danny there. He could have cast he doesn't. At what point does he declare how much energy he's spending? Is it on resolution?
Yes, when you resolve the
So
spell.
in principle, he could have gone, I'm going to target this, see what you do,
Yeah.
then just make a Thopter.
Yeah.
As he does take down the cat, though.
No, Danny has to be a little careful about trying to make sure that he won't just die to some attacks. So there's maybe some value in keeping Whirl of Virtuoso back. It's a big attack, and yeah, as you can see, Lino is trying to take down the Torrential Gearhulk. If I was Danny, I would try to protect it, just because it's the biggest clock he has available. It's dealing 5 here to get 7 with the Virtuoso, and it just offers him a very respectable clock while also leaving up Negate back up.
Yeah, Lino taking a big old chunk of damage there.
Yeah, and remember, he still has that Implement of Combustion in place. That means he won't, as we like to say, randomly die to the combo, even if he didn't have that negate.
Yeah, a few hoops to jump through for Lino if he wants to close this game out, at least with the combo.
Yeah.
Here comes Chandra, Torch of Defiance. That going to be enough for Danny to check out his hand and decide if he's got a counter spell that he wants to use.
Yeah, but he'll counter. I think like Chandra's a good card, but she's actually not even that great. Like Lino could negate back, but like once it resolves, what does he do? Like he can plus, and then he has to chump block to protect her against some of the other creatures. And if he pluses, it basically doesn't really get him anywhere. It just deals some damage. So yeah, I guess Chandra resolves, and what now, Lino Bergold? What are you doing? He still has a shock in his hand, so I think he could potentially minus Chandra and combine it with shock to kill the Gearhulk, but that just seems.
You're spending a lot of resources at that point.
Yeah, and plus then you have all the Thopters to worry about.
Yeah, I mean Chandra is, if you minus her, not going to stay in play for any longer than this one turn.
Exactly.
Effectively, she just becomes a burn spell.
Yeah.
Admittedly, quite a good burn spell that gains you a little bit of life. A lightning helix, maybe.
But this is the price that Lino is basically paying for not negating sooner in the match. Okay. He's going to try to resolve shock first, because there's nothing worse than trying to minus, then try to shock a creature and that gets dispelled. So, right ordering. I like it.
Danny going to take a hit here, likely. Doesn't seem worth throwing a Thopter in front of just yet.
No, he might have a shock of his own. Remember, Lino's fully tapped out now. But I think Danny's just trying to count, like, okay, is it lethal? Because remember, his 5 power worth of attackers. The implement is another point of damage. That's 6. Together with shock, that's 8. So he's very close to just killing Lino Burgle here. And they're both both players are having a good laugh. You're like, yeah, I'm taking it.
I mean, that was one of the sort of my big memories of Lino from the year that he did win Rookie of the Year. He's another one of these players, like Kenji, who just has a blast playing Magic. He has a really good time. And the shock there, enough to just close things out, as it turns out.
Yeah, for one reason or another. It might be something wrong with life totals, or maybe Danny flashed another card from his hand. It was enough for Danny to take the game and match. And Jessica Sahili 8-0. Pretty unexpected.
Yeah, I think that it's something that when players are thinking about metagaming, it's easy to go just very broad brush, big picture. And you can kind of do yourself a disservice if you do that, because there are lots of little details for how the metagame's shaking out that do impact on which decks people are likely to bring. We've seen a weekend where Mardu Vehicles was clearly the best deck. We've seen a weekend where black-green Sneck deck, if you will, was the best deck. And gradually that's opened a little window that people haven't been as prepared for Sahili, and look where she is now. Yeah,
awesome. Great to see. And I'm excited to see so many good Sahili decks doing well.
Well, we are going to have a Time Walk match soon enough with Rich, but in the meantime, we do have these messages. Don't go anywhere. More Magic coming soon.